This week's New Talk, we are going to talk about the Gone squad. This was a group of players for Manchester United that were basically surplus to requirements, according to Ruben Amorim. And what's happened to them, where they have gone, and what my opinion of them since leaving and kind of as they were leaving out the door. The squad was basically 6 players, I think it was. It became 7, I think, after everything that happened. So, just going through who was involved. It was Marcus Rashford. Rasmus Højlund became part of it in the end. Alejandro Garnacho, Tyrell Malacia, Jadon Sancho, Antony. So they were the members of what was classed as the bomb squad, what I'm calling the Gone squad now. Obviously, we'll go through each one in order, I guess, in the order that I've found this article regarding them. So we'll start with Marcus Rashford. Rashford wanted Barcelona. Rashford got Barcelona to a point. He's gone on loan. The thing with Marcus Rashford was that professionalism for me. That's what I felt coming out of the club and everything I was reading. The situation in Belfast, the going to events out of turn when you're supposed to be playing for your club. It all seemed like it was dissipating quite quickly. Ruben Amorim didn't like his attitude. I think there was lateness involved as well. And after a very short period of time of being at the club, Amorim decided that Rashford was surplus to requirements. He went on loan to Villa and did fairly well. Kind of brought his stock up a little bit more. And obviously got his season-long loan move. His move has the option of a £30 million buy for Barcelona. And Barcelona are covering his wages. He has taken a 25% cut on that, so he's only on about £250,000 a week, down on what was £300,000 a week from United. For me, if he does well at Barcelona, fair play to him. I saw an interview with him with Gary Lineker and Micah Richards for This Is Football. It felt like he was slightly pointing the finger elsewhere, which is his own opinion, and I get that. But obviously there is evidence towards his contrary, and that he hasn't been the most professional over the last 6, 8, 12, 18 months or so. For me, it's a shame because Rashford, being a Man United fan and Man United player, it was something you wanted to see him progress and do well, but it's not really occurred fantastically. Next, we'll speak about Alejandro Garnacho. Garnacho, again, had disciplinary issues to an extent at times, fought his way back into the squad, unlike Rashford, and then when it came to the Europa League final, basically spat his dummy out and decided that he didn't want to play for United. Well, it was kind of a half and half, because he said he didn't want to play for the club anymore, but then there was also rumours that came out that said that Amorim had told him, find yourself a new club. I can expect, to be honest, with how I've seen Amorim in press conferences and post-match interviews, I can probably see Amorim doing that. He wanted Chelsea. There was rumours of Napoli. There was rumours of Bayern Munich. He did get Chelsea. Chelsea wanted him for a while. They were wanting to get him for around 25 million. They were up to 40 million, which I still think is low for a player of Garnacho's talent and quality and age. But because he's a want away, you're kind of taking a hit there. So 40 million was what we got for him. We'll see how he does at Chelsea. They have a ton of wingers, so I don't think he's absolutely guaranteed to get a seat at the table in the first 11 at Chelsea. We'll move on to Antony. Now, Antony never really hit the heights for United. Wasn't really a quality player for United. I don't think he was what you class as a Manchester United player in that sense. And obviously, the quality has dipped over the last couple of seasons or so, but I still think he wasn't of that quality anyway. He last season in January went on loan to Real Betis, had a very good season for them, or second half of the season, should I say, and it was all set up. It was basically waiting on Betis to agree a deal. It got all the way to the last day and transfer deadline day. He's come in for just under £20 million. He's gone to Betis, so I say, for 20 million. It's a big loss on the 82 million we've paid, but obviously, even back then, it was seen as an overpayment a gross overpayment of the player. He's not really kicked up a fuss. He's not really done anything bad in that sense. He's just not been a quality player for United. He is a quality player for Betis in La Liga. It suits him, his style of play down to the ground. So I think that he's going to get a better stock there than he would do at United. So we'll see how he progresses. Let's now talk about the newest addition to the Gone squad, and it was Rasmus Højlund. Højlund, again, similar to Antony, I just didn't think he had the quality for Manchester United. There was a lot of people saying that his service was the issue and that he wasn't the problem. But if you actually look at a lot of the games with Højlund in the 9 role, even though he's not getting a lot of the service, he's still not making those runs. Whether he's not making the runs because he knows the service isn't coming, or whether he's just not got that ability to make that runs, I'm not quite sure. So it was heavily rumoured once Šeško had come in that he was going to go out the door. It was at first it was kind of a one of two in terms of Xerxes and Højlund, but very quickly, it became well known that Højlund was going to be the one out the door. There was a lot of interest from a lot of clubs in Serie A, and the club that took him in the end was Napoli. They've taken him for around £4 million on a loan fee, with another £38 million to be paid as a permanent signature, providing that Napoli qualify for the Champions League. That is just over, well, it's about 20 million less than what we paid. So we've basically took a net loss of 20 million, 10 million per season for Rasmus Højlund. It's a disappointing situation to have. He was obviously brought in under the previous regime, under Ten Hag, and it's just never really clicked for Højlund. He had a purple patch in the middle of his first season. He did pretty decently in Europe, but other than that, he's not been fantastic, and I just don't think that the Premier League is a suited place for a player like Højlund. Now, let's talk about Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho was on loan last season at Chelsea, who decided that they did not want to make his loan permanent, despite the fact that the obligations, in a sense, were met. And they just had to finish above 14th, I think it was, Chelsea, for them to, in a sense, make the transfer an obligation. They then decided they didn't want to carry on with that obligation and paid United £5 million to take him back, basically. Sancho then had a number of options, including a permanent option from Roma for around £20 million. But because they wouldn't give him the wages he wanted, he decided he didn't want the move. In the end, and at the last day, Aston Villa came through and have paid an undisclosed loan fee and are paying 80% of his £250,000 a week wages. So he's off on loan to Villa for the season. Now, Jadon Sancho's contract ends at the end of the season, and I have no problem with Manchester United ending his contract and releasing him, because it's been an absolute disaster from Jadon Sancho. He's had very little quality from United's perspective. He's been on loan now 3 times, because he went on loan to Borussia Dortmund, then went on loan to Chelsea, now he's on loan at Villa. It's slowly going down in terms of quality there for me. I would personally take the hit on Sancho. You're going to lose 20 million, maybe less, on Sancho with a year left. Unless he absolutely tears it up at Villa and you've got some sort of equity to sell him on for. But I just don't think that's going to happen at all. So, for me, at the end of the season, Jadon Sancho should not be a Manchester United player. And by that, I mean his contract should end. And finally, what is kind of the forgotten man in a sense, Tyrell Malacia. Now, Malacia is the only player that hasn't been moved on from the Gone squad. Last season, he spent the second half of the season on loan at PSV, when he helped clinch the Eredivisie title. He moved from Feyenoord 3 years ago. He made 47 appearances and had a pretty substantial knee injury, meaning he missed out on the entire 2023-24 season. Now with Dorgu and Lyon, he sits behind them two in the pecking order for that wing-back role, which is probably where I would fit him. Whether he can be integrated in and seen as an option, I'm not sure. It does seem as though he is surplus to requirements for Amorim, but he is sticking around. So whether it's make use of what you've got kind of thing, or wait till January to try and get him out the door or on a loan, it's interesting to see. But Tyrell Malacia is the only member of this team or this group who was seen as surplus to requirements, who has survived and is still at United. So let's see what happens. We never know. We might have a resurgence. We might have an option there in Malacia. I think that I would prefer Malacia on the left and Dalot, to be honest. But saying that, I'd probably prefer Lyon over Malacia. So it depends on what what Amorim thinks is the best option. But that is it, guys, for this video. If you've liked this video, please leave it a like. If you haven't, leave it just like, comment what you think about the Gone squad. What are your opinions on the players? Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Højlund, Antony and Malacia. Subscribe if you are new. Until next time, guys.